Good morning. It's Thursday. Welcome to the last section of this interpretation of the Daedalus and Icarus story by Ovid. Ovid had actually written this story before in Ars Amatoria, so it'd be an interesting thing to go back and compare how he wrote it then with how he writes it now. That would be an interesting exercise. Which we're not going to do. We're going to just finish this version today. Let me pray for us, and then we'll get going. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for a new day. Thank you for the sunshine. Thank you for all your many blessings. Lord, I pray for each of these students that you would supply all their needs today. And I just thank you that we got to interact yesterday and engage over this poem. Lord, I thank you for the great insights these guys had, and thank you that they are getting it. And just pray that as we finish this poem, you would help us to really see the artistry and the skill of Ovid. Lord, I thank you that we can read these words that were written so long ago and just kind of marvel at his ability to capture emotions. But Lord, I thank you even more that we have your word that was written about the same time, some of it older, some of it about the same time as Ovid, and that when we read those words, then we hear your voice speaking. And I just thank you that that's just so amazing. And Lord, I pray that as each of us interact with you through this challenging time and read your word, that we would not just see the beauty of literature, but that we would be given new life in you. Just pray for each of these guys that they would experience the fullness of joy and the deepness of the depth of real life in you. In Jesus' name, amen. So fun to see you guys yesterday and to talk about this poem, and to end by talking about that Bruegel painting, which is so remarkable, I think. And one of the things that we didn't talk about because we ran out of time, but some of the other paintings, especially the very last painting in the slideshow, in the Pompeian wall painting in the book, show Icarus at the end kind of surrounded by people mourning him, or I don't know if they're people or mermaids or whatever they are. Weird, that very last picture. But I was thinking about how, obviously that's supposed to be sad, these people like grieving over him, but I was wondering, for you to think about, is it sadder to have people grieving over him, or is that Bruegel painting sadder when he's just a pair of legs disappearing into the water and nobody notices? So apparently there's a German proverb that says, the plow stops for no man's death, or something like that. And maybe Bruegel was thinking about that. Life just goes on. So we left, we didn't leave the poem in that sad moment, though. We left the poem right here with the fisherman and the shepherd and the plowman marveling at this sight. They, unlike in the painting, these guys have noticed these two men in the sky, and they believe them to be gods, which of course, hubris, that's never going to go well. So we've got this last section here. We're going to talk through this final section. If you have your book, it's on page 201. Questions are on page 203. We will, we'll read this section. So there's a sense that time has passed. Logan made the good point that in that Bruegel painting, Icarus is so close to the shore. He's so close to land, he's so close to safety when he hits the water. And we do have this sense from the opening part of this section that time has passed. They've got so far, they've made it so far. They've crossed over a variety of islands. They're heading, I guess they were heading, which direction were they heading? They were heading north, and then they suddenly go east at this point, which is slightly strange. But you should take a look at the map in the book. It's kind of interesting to see, and you'll see at the end why that is. Okay, so let's start then, and I'm just going to read it. I'm going to read it badly. I'm so sorry, but we're just, some of you, Logan, you study Latin in college, you'll have someone who can really read this well. I never learned to do this. I was never taught how to really read Latin well, so I'm sorry that I can't pass that on to you. Anyway, here we go. Et iam Ionia laiva parte samos fuerent delosque parosque relictae dextra lebinthos erat fecundaeque mele calimne cum pura audaci coipet gaudere volato deruitque ducem caelique cupinine tractus altius eget iter. Ooh, long sentence. Long sentence that that takes us to the kind of the heart of the tragedy, really. So we'll start off with all these words in capital letters, which tells us those are all names, as you'll know. So we've got now, iam, and now, samos. Samos, Samos is modified by Euonia, so sacred to Juno or loved by Juno, laiva parte, lay on the left. So Ovid is telling us, he's kind of putting this in geographical location. So the island of Samos, and you can look at the map for this. The island of Samos, loved by Jupiter, lay on the left. And then these two islands, Delos and Paros, had been left behind. So it already, and so again, you can trace the journey here. Lebinthos was on the left, and Calminus, is it Calmin? Yeah, Calminus, fecunde mele, rich in honey. So at this point, you should be able to locate from those different names of the islands where he is. So that's where they were. Cum puer audaci coipit gaudere volato desiruitque ducem. So one question you might have, I have, is why Daedalus flew so far? Why not just fly to the next island and then hop on a boat or something? Anyway, he didn't. They thought they could get further. So this is how far they've traveled when the boy, you'll recognize that. Coipit is the verb. He began to gaudere. So normally, gaudere means like to rejoice or to delight. We might translate that to he began to be exhilarated. He began to, but maybe delight is fine. He began to be exhilarated by audaci volatu, by the audacity of his flight. This great moment where you can kind of imagine this, right? You're doing something new and scary, and then suddenly it's not scary anymore because you're feeling good about, you're feeling confident because you've been doing it all this time. If, as we surmised, they left in the dark, now it's light, and he's like, wow, this is fun. He's exhilarated by the audacity of his flight. He's feeling confident, and he deserted his leader. Apparently, one of the things that Ovid does do differently in his account in the Ars Amatoria is he talks about Icarus deserting his father, but here deserting his leader, tying back to that idea of Daedalus leading the way. Also, of course, alliteration, always good. DDCC. So he deserted his leader, having been drawn, literally dragged, by his desire, kupidne, for the sky, maybe for the open sky. He traveled altius, higher. He traveled up. Rapidi Wicinia soles molet odoratas penarum venincula ceras tabuerent cerae nudus quatit ille lacotos remigo quae carens non ullus percipit auras oraque carulia patrum clamantia nomen excupianta aqua quae nomen traxit ab illo. This is such amazing writing. Oh, guys. Okay, so Wicinia gives us the word vicinity. I live in the vicinity of the school, like nearby. So the closeness, the vicinity, the nearness of the burning sun, mollet. We've had this word often. We talked about mollifying someone. Someone comes into the room mad, you kind of try and soften them down, you calm them down, soften them. So here we've got the nearness of the burning sun, soften the odorous, and it's positive, the sweet smelling wax. A few lines ago, we saw Icarus softening the wax with his thumb. And the wax was that easy to soften, you could do it with his thumb. So imagine the heat of the sun. So this heat, the nearness of the burning sun softens the sweet smelling wax, the fastenings, literally the chains of the feathers. The wax had melted, pluperfect. We've got this. First of all, we've got the sun melting the wax, then the wax had melted. Quartet means he flaps. So he, the boy, flaps his nudos lacertos, his bare arms. Cadens, lacking, remigio. Really interesting here. Lacking, literally lacking oars. So Ovid is using the word oars in place of the word wings, both to get that sense of what he's trying to do in the air. He's moving his arms, he's flapping his arms the way you would move oars, but also with that irony that what he's going to need in a minute is a boat. He's going to need oars. Here he is up in the sky, lacking wings, lacking oars, but he's going to need oars in a minute because he's going to hit the water. So lacking oars, he captures, or it's more that he can't get a grip on any air. Oh, it's terrifying. Imagine just scrambling in the air. Ordaque. So here it's interesting. It's the word for mouth, but actually it's plural, which is kind of odd. And I don't know this for sure, but I'm just wondering if it's this because it's going to be repeated shouting. That's why it's plural. So his mouth, we wouldn't say mouths in English, but yeah. So his mouth shouting, Clementia, that agrees with Aura, shouting the name of his father, is swallowed up by the blue water, which takes its name from him. And if you look at the map, you'll know what we're talking about here. The blue water takes its name from Icarus. So, oh gosh, is he dead when he hits the water? His mouth calling the name of his father is swallowed up by the blue water. It's very sad. And then we switch to his father. Then the unhappy or the unlucky father, no longer a father. Notice this, Ovid never says he dies, but instead, like a knife, right? The father, unhappy father, no longer a father, said, Icarus. He said, Icarus, where are you? Where will I look for you? Or in what region will I search for you? Icarus, he was saying. Oh, I want to cry. See that the repeated calling of his name, that repeated direct address, Icarus, 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 he said. And the effect, Icarus, he said, Icarus, he said, Icarus, he kept on saying. He caught sight of, or he saw, the pennas, the feathers on the waves. Devotit quaed suas artis, he cursed his own skills. And then the final verb, condidit, he buried the body in a tomb. And the land is called, or the land was called, I guess, by the name of the one entombed. Wow, what a sad story. And somehow I think sadder because Icarus is not the jerk that he is in some stories. I think you guys just nailed it yesterday when you noticed that he, Icarus as a young boy, and kind of more innocent, like just kind of joyful boy rather than a moody teenager kind of just disobeying his parent. This just makes a much, much sadder story. Okay, kind of emotional. for Thursday morning. Let's see, is there anything else I wanted to mention to you? Hopefully you will be able to do those questions just fine. Look for the Icarian Sea in the map. And look at you'll see the place names that he mentions. I think, let's see. Yeah, think about whether you think that Icarus's portrayal is consistent. His earlier playfulness with his kind of adventurousness, or does that seem like a consistent portrayal? Do you find Daedalus irritating or responsible? Do you think it's that Icarus is just flat out rejecting his father's commands, or is he's just exhilarated by the situation, or by feeling confident that they've got so far and been so successful at that point? I can't wait to read more of your comments on the art. Please read that amazing Auden poem. Oh, it's one of my favorite poems of all time. I wish we could talk about that some more. If you have a chance, if you're interested to look at the about the language sections in the book, we are not going to do any grammar, I promise. But look at that section on ellipsis where words are missing, they're kind of implied. Ellipsis in English, we talk about the three dots when you're leaving something out in a quote is ellipsis. So in ellipsis in Latin, it's when a word is not repeated but is implied. And then that syncope, where words are modified to fit the meter of the poem. So you can read about that on page 203. It's pretty interesting, I think. Okay, so tomorrow your assignment is to pick 10 lines to translate, consecutive lines, answer the questions in the book, send them to me, write your reflection. You can play the Kahoot now. And I hope you've really enjoyed this poem as much as I've enjoyed talking about it. And next week, more Catullus, who's probably my favorite Latin poet. Not all of his stuff. Some of his stuff is really offensive, but I think you're going to really enjoy his love poetry. So we're going to read some of that next week. Okay, I missed you guys, and let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you soon. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.